I have a confession to make. As you can maybe tell just by looking at me, I only go to the gym about twice a year. Usually once around my birthday and once around New Year's, sometimes secular, sometimes Jewish, but never both. I don't go more because, honestly, it's always the same. I work up a good sweat, and then I come home and I stand in front of the mirror only to be reminded that my morning's efforts have not made the least bit of difference in what I laughably describe as my physique. I am no closer to having a six-pack. Honestly, what I'm schlepping around is more like a keg. And I say to myself, this whole exercise thing is clearly for other people. And I wait another 6 months to go back. Now, when I think about this logically, I know that's really not how exercise works, or how anything works. Very little of what we do in life makes an impact right away. The rewards come from consistency and commitment. Musicians have to practice. Athletes have to train. Yogis need to stretch. Marriages need constant tending. And kids develop into kind, caring adults through thousands of little lessons spread over many years. Whatever we want to do, or at least whatever we want to do well, takes disciplined, consistent practice. Much of Jewish prayer works the same way. The word for this type of prayer is Keva, something fixed or set. Traditional Jews pray 3 fixed daily services in the morning, afternoon, and evening, as well as special prayers for Shabbat and all the holy days. While most of these prayers can be said on one's own, they most often take place with a minyan, a prayer quorum of at least 10 adult Jews. The Siddur, or prayer book, that guides these services is filled with hundreds of prayers for all occasions, crowdsourced from poets and rabbis and scholars and singers over the past 2 millennia. In addition to the formal communal services, there are prayers of all sorts for moments big and small throughout the day. There's a prayer which I love, Modeh Ani, which is the first thing we're supposed to say upon waking up in the morning. Modeh Ani lefanecha, melech hai v'kayam, shehechazarta binishmati, b'chemla rabba emunatecha. I'm grateful for another day, God. Thank you for restoring my soul to me. There are short blessings to be said before eating and longer blessings called Birkat Hamazon to be said after finishing a meal. There's a blessing for seeing a rainbow or for seeing the ocean, for hearing good news or bad news, even a blessing for using the bathroom. That's right, Judaism even has a prayer for visiting the toilet. It goes, in essence, like this. Thank you, God, that my openings open properly, and that my closings close properly. If one thing that was meant to be open closed, or one thing that was meant to stay closed opened up, boy, would I be in trouble. Praised are you, God, who makes our wonderful bodies. Committing to a regular practice of Keva prayer, communal and personal, is a form of spiritual discipline. It's a learned skill. Nearly all of the prayers are said in Hebrew, and it honestly takes years to fully master. But with consistency and practice, Jewish prayer has a unique ability to add holiness and to elevate intentionality in nearly every moment of one's life. However, Jewish prayer is not just discipline and ritual. Keva is meant to be balanced with the living, spontaneous, unscripted experience of just conversing with God. This type of prayer is called Kavanna, and it means to direct one's heart. Finding your personal Kavanna, your personal intention, may mean temporarily taking leave of the pre-written words in the Siddur and paying attention to the words that we need to express from deep down in our souls, or connecting to God in a way that's not about words at all. One of the most powerful spiritual tools of Kavanna prayer comes from the Hasidic mystics, who would sing nigunim, repetitive, wordless melodies. Without the barrier of focusing on words, they could simply pour their feelings out through these beautiful chants. Take a listen. Kavanna might also mean pausing during services to focus on the way that a particular word or phrase in a prayer is speaking to you right in this moment, even if that means falling out of step with the rest of the community. You can always catch up later. Abraham Joshua Heschel said, Jewish prayer is guided by opposite principles: order and outburst, regularity and spontaneity, uniformity and individuality. He taught that what we need is not one or the other, but both types of prayer to have a meaningful spiritual life. Keva without Kavanna is dull and dry. Kavanna without Keva has no consistency or context. Keva allows us to form a community. We all show up at a particular time, all follow along in the same book. But Kavanna gives that communal experience meaning and depth. Without it, even the fullest synagogue sanctuary feels a bit empty. The trick is to use the Keva structures to find one's personal Kavanna. A great example of this in every service is a prayer called the Amidah, the standing prayer, in which we all rise together but have focused individual time for our private internal conversations with God. In a synagogue, during the Amidah, you might see people pulling their talit, their prayer shawl, up over their heads as if to block out the rest of the world, all standing together as one community, but at the same time, all connecting in our own way, offering a meditation that's ours alone. One last thing. Between Keva and Kavanna, most of us have one mode that we're a bit more at home with and one that comes a little less naturally. If you know some or even all of the Hebrew words in the Siddur, but the prospect of putting it down and just talking to God leaves you anxious or numb or utterly confused, you know what prayer muscles you need to develop. And if you're one of those spiritual but not religious types, who has a personal sense of connection to something bigger, but struggles to express that with consistency or in community, now is maybe the time to seek that out. Working on the soul is just as important as working on the body. So I'll make you a deal. You get to synagogue, and I'll consider going back to the gym.
Yay, nay.